Alright guys, so with this lesson, it's the third day of trig functions of any angle. Alright, here we're going to be sketching an angle and then find its reference angle. So I think you heard me refer to it once before, alright, about the reference angle, alright, but so we have to draw 200 degrees, alright, so 200 degrees, I think you guys are all decent with that. You know this is going to be in the third quadrant, right? So about right there. There's 180, there's 200, right? So there's theta. But now, the reference angle. The reference angle is we're always going to be referring back, all right? Let me see if I can, oh man, come on. All right, sorry about that, guys. All right, so the reference angle is always going to be referring back to the x-axis. It doesn't matter if it's the positive or negative x-axis, and we refer to it as theta prime. So you've heard me say that before, theta prime. All right. Well, we know that this is 180 degrees, but we went 200 degrees. So theta prime is going to be 200 degrees minus 180 degrees, which is going to give me 20 degrees. All right. So the reference angle is going to be 20 degrees. The reference angle is always positive. I don't care what it is. It's always positive. You're always referring to the x-axis. All right, refer to x-axis. So you're going to be thinking about hitting 0 degrees, 180 degrees, or 360 degrees. All right, it's always going to be one of those three. Okay, so 75 degrees. All right, 75 degrees. Let me change. All right, so 75 degrees is going to be first quadrant right there. All right, there's theta. Well, theta prime is just that angle, referring back to the x-axis. So theta prime. All right, so theta prime. What am I going to refer back to? I'm going to refer back to the 0 degrees. So 75 degrees minus 0 degrees. Theta prime is 75 degrees. So this one's kind of a silly one, but you know, I need to make sure I showed you guys. All right, 120 degrees. 120 degrees, second quadrant. All right, second quadrant. There it is. There's theta. But then, where is theta prime? All right, there's that reference angle. There's theta prime. What am I going to refer back to? I'm referring to 180 degrees. So 180 minus 120. So theta prime is going to equal 60 degrees. All right. All right, so, oh, sorry guys. This was not supposed to be 200. This was supposed to be 285. Sorry. Again, you guys know I can't type. All right, so 285. Which quadrant? Well, in this case, it's in the third quadrant because remember there's 270. So I had to go all the way around. There's theta. But now, theta prime is right there. There's my reference angle. All right, so theta prime. What am I going to refer back to? Well, keep in mind, this is 0 degrees and that's 360 degrees. One of the things I forgot to mention is the reference angle is always going to be less than 90. So what am I going to refer back to? I'm going to refer back to 360 degrees. So I have 360 minus 270. Theta prime is equal to, oh, so hopefully somebody caught that mistake. 360 minus 285. All right, 285. Theta prime is equal to 75 degrees. All right, Now, what happens when they give us an angle in radians? What do we have to do? Well, remember, we're going to multiply by, I want the answer in degrees, so I'm going to put degrees up on top, and then over pi radians. So those pi's cancel. You grab your calculator, 17 over 6 times 180, and you end up with 510 degrees. Well, I'm hoping you realize 510 degrees is more than one whole rotation. All right? So what do I have to do? Let's subtract off 360 degrees. So 510 minus 360, I end up with 150 degrees. So now I have to go 150 degrees more. 150 more degrees. There it is in the second quadrant. And now my reference angle. All right, there's my reference angle. So my reference angle is going to end up being 180 minus 150. So we end up with 30 degrees. All right, not too bad. All right, F. Now we end up with a negative. All right, so what do we do? Same thing we've always done. Draw it. What quadrant is this going to be in? Well, remember, now there's negative 90. There's negative 180. Negative 270. So negative 225 is going to be up here somewhere. And remember, we go the opposite way. So now there's theta. Okay, well, our reference angle, I'm still referring back to the x-axis. All right. Oh, excuse me, guys. I apologize. All right. Have you noticed every single time we've done theta prime, when we were looking for the reference angle, I always put the biggest angle first? All right. So, like up here for part A, I put 200 first, and then for let's say D, I put 360 first. I always put the biggest angle first. Well, in our case, which one is bigger? Is negative 225 or negative 180 bigger? Which one's the bigger angle? That one's actually the bigger angle. So I have negative 180 minus a negative 225. Well, if we think about this, that happens, and we end up with a positive angle again. So theta prime is 45 degrees. All right. Now here's where you're going to have to get your calculator out. All right. So I look at cosine of negative 210. They want us to evaluate. All right. So cosine of negative 210. If you were to just grab your calculator and plug that in, you're going to get the answer. Right? You'll get an answer. No issues. All right. So, sorry, I thought I'd be able to. Oh, I apologize, guys. Never mind. Never mind. I don't know what's going on here. All right. Okay, here we go. I apologize about that, guys. All right, so what do we end up with? We said we were going to do cosine. All right, so cosine of negative 210. Enter. Now, remember, for you guys that have this calculator, there's the exact answer. Let's get the approximate answer. All right, so there's our approximate answer. So let me close that. All right, so remember what the approximate answer was negative 0.8 something. All right, I already forgot. But the thing I wanted you guys to notice is the reason why we were doing the reference angle is because way back, we used to have, what we would have to do is, back when, me and Fred Flintstone were in class together, we had to know this, all right? So we were doing cosine of negative 210. Negative 210 is in which quadrant? All right, if we think about this, negative 210 would have been right here, right? It'd been in that quadrant. It'd have been in the second quadrant. Well, cosine in the second quadrant. Cosine in the second quadrant. Our answer would have been negative. All right, it would have to be negative. So we knew that our answer had to be negative. So then what we had to do, me and Fred Flintstone, you guys don't have to worry about this anymore. What we had to do is we had to know then, all right, our answer is going to be negative, but now it's going to be cosine of what was our reference angle? What was this reference angle here? All right, what's that reference angle? So negative 210 to negative 280, that would actually have been a positive 30 degrees. So if you go and type in cosine of 30 degrees, you'll end up with the same exact answer as that. All right. I remember the exact answer, I believe, was like negative square root of 3 over 2. I don't remember the approximate answer. All right. So cosecant of 300 degrees. Well, 300 degrees would be over here because remember there's 270. So it would be in the fourth quadrant. Well, cosecant in the fourth quadrant, that answer would have been negative. All right. So I know then my answer here, my answer for this has to be negative. All right. What in the world? All right. So my answer there has to be negative. You guys could just type this into your calculator, but you'd have to remember that it's going to be 1 over, what's the reciprocal of cosecant? Sine of 300 degrees. All right, you type that in, and you're going to get approximately negative 1.155. All right, but now, me and Fred Flintstone, we would have had to think about, what is that reference angle? Oh, like that reference angle from 300 to 360, it would have actually been 60 degrees. So then, remember those charts in the back of the book that I was telling you about that we used to have to go through? We would have had to go find sine of 60 and then do 1 divided by that, and then just make sure that we knew our answer was negative. All right. So with you guys in your technology, it's so much better. All right. So you guys don't have to go through all this nonsense. All right. All this stuff to hear that I'm talking about, all of this stuff, all that stuff there, you guys don't have to do that stuff anymore. I'm showing you just so that you understand why we had to do reference angles. All right. That was the reason why I wanted to do this quick lesson. All right. So now what happens? We have radians, a little bit of practice, 180 over pi. Pi's cancel. So I have cotangent of what? Cotangent of 230 degrees. All right, verify that. So now we're going to end up doing 1 over tangent of 230 degrees. And our approximate answer is going to be 0.84. And now, if we look at this, this is in what quadrant? This is in the third quadrant. All right, cotangent in the third quadrant. Our answer has to be positive. All right, so our calculator gave us, that's not what I wanted to do. Our calculator gave us a positive answer. All right, last one here, guys. All right, so again, just for practice, convert. All right, we convert and we end up with sine of 330 degrees. Again, you guys can just type this crap into your calculator, no issues. 330, I know that's the fourth quadrant. You type it in, and your answer actually is negative 0.5. Well, if you're trying to figure out why you got a negative, all right, so sine, let me erase that. Sine in the fourth quadrant, my answer is going to be negative. All right, so we ended up with a negative answer. So there's the reason why we do reference angles. Okay, so like in this case, this would actually have been negative because I would have had to have known that my answer was going to be negative. So I would have had to throw that negative in front of sine and go to the back of the book and know that 360 minus 330 is going to be 30 degrees. So I would have had to look up sine of 30 degrees. In the charts, the book would have given me 0.5, but then I would have had to know that my answer has to be negative.